Alright, so today I'm back with yet another chapter review, and today we will go over chapter 308, which is honestly mind-blowing, as Buratsuta offers Nagi a chance to play in the U20 World Cup, but that's far from all, as we once again see Sae, who says that he will play in the U20 World Cup, but only against one team, but you will just have to sit back and watch to find out what happens. Anyway, please leave a like and a comment as well as join the Discord server. With that out of the way, let's get into it. So to begin chapter 308, also called Prideful Chicken, we see the gremlin Buratsuta with a big smile as he says hello to Nagi. Nagi just stares at him before he asks him who he even is. Buratsuta is surprised and amazed that he can't recognize the chairman of the Japanese Football Association and asks if he has really never seen him before. Anyway, Nagi just skips the small talk and asks him what it is that he wants from Nagi. Buratsuta gets an even more smug expression as he asks if Nagi doesn't want to crush Ego, but Nagi just looks sad as his eyes are filled with darkness. Buratsuta then starts to walk closer to Nagi and says that he has an undeniable talent, and yet they decided to kick him out of Blue Lock, saying that surely he can't be the only one who thinks that it's strange. Nagi just says that he isn't sure. Buratsuta then reveals that the minimum number of players in a team for the U20 World Cup is 23. However, the maximum number is 26, explaining that it's up to the team to decide if they want to use it. But he previously made a promise to Ego that he would provide him the funds for Blue Lock television in exchange for the power to get to choose the remaining 3 players. He tells Nagi that, in other words, apart from the 23 players chosen by Ego, the Buratsuta 3, as he calls it, which is so ridiculous that he has named it after himself. Anyway, he says that 3 players will be chosen by him and will get a chance to represent Japan in the U20 World Cup. Buratsuta then looks right at Nagi and asks him if he wouldn't like to be one of those 3 players. As Nagi hears that, he's just totally stunned. But Buratsuta then says that there are some conditions though, and that first, he has to win in the selection that he has planned. Second, if he gets chosen for the Buratsuta 3, then he will take care of all his contracts and management of his soccer career, and to put it simply, all of his soccer life from now on will be his own property. And thirdly, when Nagi goes back to Blue Lock, he will play soccer to prove that Ego's methods were wrong. And can we just take a quick second to really understand how insane this is? Like, we literally see Ego getting shot at, which is just wild. Anyway, Buratsuta says that if he does that, then it will push Ego into resigning, and Buratsuta will become the new boss of Blue Lock, and he then asks Nagi what he thinks about all of this, holding out his hand and asking him if he wouldn't like to take over Blue Lock with him. Now, no matter how much I hate Buratsuta, you can't tell me that this panel isn't super sick, like he has a whole octopus behind him. Anyway, back to Nagi, whose eyes get huge as he realizes that he could actually go back to Blue Lock and be with all of his friends again. But he then looks down sadly towards the ground, and he tells Buratsuta that he can't do it. Buratsuta is just in pure awe, wondering how Nagi can pass on this amazing offer, but Nagi tells him that Ego isn't wrong in anything he has done. Buratsuta then starts to scream as he asks him what he means, and that if Ego hasn't done anything wrong, then why is Nagi even here in the first place, telling him that he still can't let go, and that he still wants to play football in Blue Lock, right? Nagi just looks towards the ground, unable to say anything. Nagi then speaks up and says that Ego created Blue Lock, and if it wasn't for him, then Nagi wouldn't get fired up playing with Isagi and Ryo. Buratsuta then gets even more mad as he asks him what he is saying, that he's just a stepping stone for their dreams, and that Ego is a heartless bastard. Nagi says that even so, it's because of Ego that this place is full of passion. He then looks super cold as he takes his hand through his hair in the rain and says that he can't betray Blue Lock, and we can see that Buratsuta is about to snap soon. Hey, it's Natsu mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? Which he then does as he starts to kick water on a legit teenager. Now this got me so mad, I'm not even going to lie, because this man is like pushing 50 or something. Anyway, he tells Nagi to protect his worthless self like that. His eyes then start to burn as he tells Nagi that he's going to spend the rest of his life thinking about how amazing he was back then, and that he won't throw away his pride even at rock bottom, calling him a prideful chicken. Nagi just looks kind of sad as he's hearing that. Suddenly, Buratsuta's phone starts to ring, and he picks it up only to realize that it's none other than the GOAT Itoshi Sae. Sae tells him that he groups have been decided for the U20 World Cup, and that Japan is in Group A with Nigeria, England, and lastly France, which is just insane. And Buratsuta starts to freak out, as they say that France are super strong and says that they can't advance if they're not in the top 2. He then tells Sae that one of the spots in the Buratsuta 3 is already reserved for him after all, and that he doesn't even have to pass the selection either, and that for the sake of brand and money of Japanese soccer, Sae is going to join the team and get at least past the group stage right. Sae then coldly drops the bomb and tells him that he isn't joining for the group stage, which really shocks Buratsuta. But Sae says that he will participate in this U20 World Cup only to play against Spain, which I'm not going to lie, is kind of an aura move, which I love. Buratsuta says that he understands and that he will keep that spot open for him so that he can join Japan for the finals. Sae's eyes then start to burn with fire as he says, "Yeah, and if he doesn't change his mind later," but he then says that if Japan can't win at this stage without him, then they're worthless. Sae then says that he has a dream to fulfill and that even at the cost of Blue Lock, from now on, only that kind of ego will win. The ending text then says, "The U20 World Cup is full of speculation. A new future will open only to those who want victory, and the next chapter will be called Reunion, which is super hype, as I think that the Blue Lock players will then go back to Blue Lock and have their little reunion and maybe talk about the training that they did and what they will now do before the U20 World Cup. Ego will probably have some sort of selection before the U20 World Cup to evaluate the players once again. Also, I'm pretty sure that there is no break next week, which is just amazing to hear. However, I just really hope that the authors are doing well. Anyway, now let's get into the chapter because there is lots to talk about. Firstly, Sae joining in the World Cup is huge. Now I know that it's only against Spain. However, I'll take every chance to see Sae play because it's been so long, like we haven't seen that man since the U20 match, which is wild. So honestly, I'm just happy to see him again. I'm also super interested in his backstory with Bunny, but I'm sure we will get to see that when that match happens. Anyway, now let's talk about Nagi, and honestly, I have gained some more respect for him after this chapter. Now, I do think that there still is a possibility of him joining the Buratsuta 3. However, I will talk about that more later. Anyway, for now at least, he said no to Buratsuta because he knew that Ego hadn't done anything wrong, nor any of the Blue Lock players, and because of that, he sacrificed himself playing for the sake of what's right. Now, I know that it sounds very cheesy. However, it's truly something to respect, and I wasn't sure that Nagi had that in himself. And the craziest thing is that he didn't even think about Condition 2, which Buratsuta told him, which was that all of his contracts would be handled by Buratsuta, as Nagi only cared about Ego and the others and didn't want to ruin anything for them. Now let's talk about the conditions because they are so disgusting. Firstly, Buratsuta being in control of his offers and contracts and everything is awful. There is a lot of stuff like that happens in real life, so I'm kind of happy that it was brought up in the story, but still, it's such an awful thing to do, like he would basically just rob Nagi out of lots of money. Now his third condition involving Ego is just so childish. Now I get that he probably wants Blue Lock so that he can make more money, which is fair. However, I also think that he wants Ego gone because he owned Buratsuta a couple of chapters ago and put him in his place, which is why he is extra salty towards Ego and that he wants revenge, which is just ridiculous. Lastly, let's talk about the Buratsuta 3. Now, I will make a dedicated video on this topic, which hopefully will drop tomorrow, but no promises. Anyway, obviously one spot is already reserved for Sae. Now, I also think that even though Nagi did decline, I think that in the end it will be too much for him, and he will give in and join, which leaves one more place, and I think that there are some good candidates for that spot. Now, in my opinion, I think that Tokimitsu, Igarashi, Kira, and Nishioka are the best. Most probably Kira though, as his name is the biggest out of all of them, and also he already went against Ego's philosophy in the beginning, which is something that Buratsuta really wants. Anyway, please let me know who you think will be in the Buratsuta 3, and also what you thought about this chapter. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.